So some of you guys may have been following me specifically on Twitter. Could you tell I was excited for this one? Because I am. And I was. And I probably will be until we finish it.
BioWare? No, not Sonic Chronicles. No, anything but that.
No. Are you ready to get your masses erect?
Oh, God. Can we not talk about Fox News? Oh, who am I kidding? We'll totally talk about them during the first lull that shows itself. But for the record, you know, spoiler alert, we're not actually going to be seeing the sex scene during this playthrough specifically because...
Then why are we here?
Well, now I'm out. I'm out.
No, because I did a thing blindly on my first playthrough, and I reenacted that during this playthrough, and I decided that instead of romancing Liara, like I did after I fucked up, I would romance someone else in Mass Effect 2 just to show that off instead.
Yourself in the mirror.
So.
Hello, Shepard. Why, hello, Shepard.
You're not going to be generic white guy McBuzzcut.
Well, unfortunately, generic white guy McBuzzcut is probably the best face you'll ever get for a male Shepard, because I've tried for hours to get a...
Because let's face it, your creation is probably going to be a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with Mass Effect, is that the face creation is not all that great. It improved somewhat in Mass Effect 3.
It's very 2007.
Yeah.
Can I ask? All right. So canonically, the last name is supposed to be Shepard, and you can't change it on purpose.
No, Shepard is what they verbally call you when you're voice acted. Your first name you get to choose.
I spent about an hour last night making sure my Steam version of this game was working, and it was. And I just wanted to make sure that the last name not being able to change was not a glitch or anything like that.
No.
In that case, I'd like to say that I am a very unoriginal bastard because the default character name for this is John Shepard. It's now Johnny Shepard.
It's John and Jane. Those are the default names, and those are the most boring. Those are like objectively the most boring names in existence. Those are the names they give unidentified corpses.
It's supposed to be John Doe.
John Doe, Jane Doe, except it's John Shepard, Jane Shepard.
Okay, hold on. Can you go? No, go back to the one where she looks like she's gonna have to smack a bitch. Okay.
Oh no, yeah. If you want to smack a bitch, this is the class you choose, because this is Vanguard. It's the combination of soldier and biotic warrior, so it specializes in shotguns, but you also get all the telekinetic powers. And in Mass Effects 2 and 3, you get a killer-ass high-speed charge that rams you face first into the enemy and restores your shields, which you can spam at close range to keep your shields up and not take any damage, which is awesome against a certain mechanical boss on a certain planet in Mass Effect 2. I think players of the game all know the one. And yeah, I'm going to be showing that off when we get to it.
Speaking of all that face interaction stuff, I kind of wonder if there's going to be since it's on PC as well, someone make a me mod for this. Just replace all the stuff with me expressions.
You see, this is the thing about WRPGs is that you spend like the first hour of the game just nitpicking over exactly how you want your character to look.
Oh, I totally did. This character is actually a combination of the first character I ever made and the default Mass Effect 3 design. Because I wanted to use the same character throughout all 3 games, but I also wanted to show off the default Mass Effect 3 design, because that's actually pretty topical. But, well, that face doesn't exist in Mass Effects 1 and 2, so you can't actually use it in all 3 games. So I cheated. I modded the 3rd game so that I could use its haircut, and I compromised.
Ugh. Cheater. Have you no shame? Anyway, we do have a guest with us.
Aloha! Yeah. I'm only now introducing myself, but hi.
I think like 9/10 of our viewers know who Clement is by now, but this is the great Clement. He has a Let's Play channel. You should go watch it because it's awesome. And yeah. Mass Effect, nice little Star Wars opening there. BioWare before this was well known for 2 game franchises in particular. They also made Jade Empire, but that's not well known. I recommend playing it though; it's really good.
Heard of it. Yeah, it is a good game.
Yeah, there's I mean, like, it's not super classic amazing, but it's really good. And Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Hells yeah.
And Forgotten Realms Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. both of which are really great examples of WRPGs. And I think BioWare made the Infinity Engine, and between that and Baldur's Gate, they pretty much defined what WRPGs on computers would be for a long time.
Whoa, hold on. Who let the Joker on board?
This is not the Joker from Batman, although I was going to make a Batman comparison later on, so that's actually kind of interesting. This is Jeff Joker Moreau. He is the crippled pilot of the SSV Normandy, and he is one of the most prominent non-combat characters in the series. And he is voiced by, what's the name of the actor who played Dr. Evil's son in
Seth Green.
Seth Green. That's
okay, I was gonna ask that just now because I recognized the voice right off the bat, but I didn't bother.
Yeah, they got
IMDb
some top tier voice actors for certain characters in the Mass Effect series, which was pretty cool at the time.
Like this is a big sci-fi hodgepodge because right off the bat we heard from Lance Henriksen, who you may have seen in the Alien movies, Terminator. Keith David's in this game. Marina Sirtis, who was in Star Trek.
I don't care how the rest of this game is. The fact that Keith David's in this game at all just made me Mass Effect, I guess, is the joke.
Speaking of familiar voice actors, this guy, Kaiden Alenko, is voiced by the same goddamn asshole who voiced Carth Onasi, who is also the first guy you met in Knights of the Old Republic. So pretty much everyone recognized his voice and just could not unhear it.
We're getting guys and gals that are prominent in the sci-fi culture seems to be a thing with video games in particular, because didn't they do the exact same thing with Halo? Like by the second game, they started getting. I know Keith David was the voice of the Arbiter in Halo 2.
Maybe.
Yeah. I have to take your word for it because I'm not a big Halo buff, but
by Halo 2, because of how well known of a franchise it was at that point, they started like getting celebrities to voice characters in those games, and I think it's just something they do with sci-fi games.
Yeah. Anyway, get used to seeing this ship, because you're going to be seeing this ship a lot. In fact, you're going to be seeing about, I would venture to say about 70% of the time you play this game. This is the Normandy. It is your Starship Enterprise, your Millennium Falcon, your Ebon Hawk, if you will.
What's that?
Recognize everything but that last one.
That would be the ship you fly in Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2. It is the not Millennium Falcon.
Oh, wait, I think I didn't get that far when I played KOTOR.
Yeah, you probably didn't, because I think it's the ship that you escape the first planet with.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't finish the first planet, so there we go.
Navigator Presley. You only talk to him like twice, but he's actually got a bit of a character arc hidden within the game.
His first name is Navigator?
Well, I don't know what his first name is. He probably has one somewhere, but
I'll just call you Sulu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, talking to people on the Normandy in the first game is not as interesting as in the latter two. Because
It's almost like they're NPCs.
yeah, well, NPCs in BioWare games tend to have a lot to say, but most of the people that you can talk to multiple times on the Normandy in this game are just your party members, and even those are a bit bare in this game, because it's a little difficult to tell when you can talk to them, so you're going to be running around the ship after every mission, talking to everyone to see if they have something new to say. 9 times out of 10, they won't. In fact, there's a joke about that from Mass Effect 2. Garrus Vakarian, one of the party members who returns in all 3 games, he has a line about calibrating the weapons that he always says whenever he has nothing to say, but he's also the party member on the ship that has the fewest things to say, so he's always saying it. And it was such a meme that in the 3rd game, Garrus himself references it by saying that some people tell him he says calibrations more than any Turian should.
Yeah. Mass Effect's pretty good with all the self-referential kind of references that, like, people didn't like the elevator sections in Mass Effect 1, so in Mass Effect 2 they made a joke about it, you know?
Well, that's good. I like it when they're self-aware like that.
Yeah. They made several jokes about it, actually, across both games. There is an elevator section in one of the games, I forget which one, where one of the characters, I think it's Garrus, just stops and asks, does anyone else remember the times when we used to stop and talk on the elevators? I miss those times. And then nobody else agrees with him, no matter who you bring with you.
Specifically, if you have Tally with you, you have to have Tally and Garrus, and Tally makes a comment that, like, no, I don't.
The good old conversation. We all remember when this was new and interesting.
Well, you know, it is still kind of interesting because only BioWare really does it effectively. Granted, they also do it really ineffectively at times. It's kind of annoying. Some players of WRPGs will contest that dialogue being in a list is better because it allows for better roleplay, but that's not strictly true, because sometimes those people will also compare this to The Witcher, and The Witcher has the same kind of dialogue options. It just doesn't arrange them in a circle that lets you know at a glance which ones are what general thing. So, I don't know.
You said, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first Mass Effect was designed specifically for the Xbox 360, right?
Yes, it
Okay.
was. It was Xbox 360 and PC exclusive.
And then it
Xbox
eventually got to the PS3 later.
Okay.
Yeah, very later. That's a story in itself. But it was actually released on consoles first and then ported to PC. So the PC porting job is a bit rough around the edges. You can still get better performance on it depending on your rig, but it doesn't play nice with more recent AMD CPUs like the one I have, which is why I'm recording the console version.
And I can attest to this because that's the version I'm playing, and looking at this footage, the facial textures are way better on the console.
Better.
Better? Wait, have you? Wait, hang on. Did you set the graphics up?
It's
and
the first
then
thing I do every time.
Did
I
you
put up a
did
game
you
on a
reset
PC.
the game?
Yes.
Did you exit out of the game and then go back in? Interesting.
Definitely one thing I noticed, I replayed Mass Effect before I did this commentary. I actually played it last weekend, and it's certainly a 2007 game. There's a lot of there's a lot of graphical issues where like things don't render right away, and there's lots of pop-in and stuff. And it definitely gets a lot better in Mass Effect 2 and 3, but yeah, this is an old game.
And everyone just kind of looks waxy.
By the way, guess who has 2 thumbs and the green biker dude as a spirit animal? This guy here.
Corporal Jenkins.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jenkins is he's inserted into your party, but he dies before you get to fight anything. So
Okay, so that's a scripted event.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those things that I could prevent, because, you know, every
No.
time nowadays, and fucking Undertale, every time it's like I play a game and something dies, I'm wondering, shit, did I fuck up somewhere? Or
Okay.
Can I, like, reset and do that, or?
you don't have to worry about party member death until Mass Effect 2. But even then, if you're playing a completionist run, you probably won't have any deaths. So,
All right, so Jenkins is just an idiot.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they named him Jenkins.
I
I
know,
was
but
gonna
it's
say
like,
that's probably why they named him Jenkins.
you know, I spent a good 10 minutes talking to this guy specifically because he's going, oh, I'm so bored, I just want to get into the action. And it's like, calm your tits, son. It's like,
That's a death flag right there.
Yeah, actually, no. I'm gonna say Jenkins wasn't really guilty of being an idiot because it was on Shepard's order that he advanced when he did. So it was just bad luck, and Kaiden
Oh.
Alenko will tell you that as much.
oh, Shepard's
later
an
on.
asshole then. Bait.
Oh, well, it depends on how you roleplay him anyway. Oh, yeah, Lewis, important question. Is this a Paragon run or a Renegade run?
Yes, this is a Paragon run, and there's a very important.
Boo.
There's a very important reason for that, and that's that you can be a Paragon and still get some of the cooler Renegade actions in the latter 2 games. So, you don't necessarily have to be an asshole to have badass moments. But technically, it's called a Paragade run. But the morality
Paragade?
system across the 3 games is kind of skewed. Like Mass Effect 1, the morality meter isn't especially important, and at the rate you gain points, you can easily get like a full meter and then 70% of the other meter full by the end of the game if you know what you're doing. But in Mass Effect 2, you basically have to run full Paragon or full Renegade if you don't want to screw yourself over on persuasion checks.
Yeah.
Unless you imported your save file, then you get a 100-point bonus on whichever one you were full up on, and a bonus on the other one if you had a significant amount of that. so you have a bit more leeway early game to build up your persuasion scores. But there's also something really dumb about the way the game is designed that makes the situation even worse. And I'll get to that when we get to Mass Effect 2, because it's kind of in-depth to the game's underlying mechanics. But, yeah.
Okay, question. This guy's name is Nihilus.
Yes.
Is that just a name, or is it like a spoiler?
It's his name. It's just his name. Turians have names like that, yeah.
Okay.
You
Like,
can't tell with sci-fi sometimes.
Yeah, well, your Turian party member's name is Garrus Vicarian. This guy's name is Nihilus. We don't find out his last name, at least not in-game, but he's a Turian Spectre. That's all he really has. He has a really cool design for a character who's only around for about 10 minutes. But, yeah.
Meanwhile,
Are there
Commander
Nihilus
David here.
mods?
Yeah. Anyway, the character that we see on screen now, the one voiced by the incredibly, familiar, famous voice actor dude, the one with the distinctly distinct facial model that no one else in the game has, you can tell he's important because he has his own face. But this is David Anderson. And he's basically the Commissioner Gordon to Commander Shepard's Batman. That sums up his role just perfectly.
He's always got your back, no matter how awful you are.
Yeah, basically.
Boys will be boys.
Yeah. David Anderson is actually the protagonist of 3 of the 4 Mass Effect novels that are out right now, including the bad one. Mass Effect Deception is horrible, by the way. Don't read it. It's lore-breaking, and it's not even written well to compensate for it. But the other 3 were written by the lead writer of Mass Effects 1 and 2, Drew Karpyshyn, and those are good ones. And you get to see a lot of David Anderson's backstory in that.
You've really done your homework on this.
Didn't Mass Effect have like 4 novels worth of like text in it, or something to that effect? I know that there's
You're writing for the games, well, mostly because of all the options and the ways it can go. They had to compensate by the end for like everything. So, like, they had pictures of like just the script, and it was like a third of a person's height.
Oh, well, that's nothing compared to Dragon Quest VII, which takes up an entire bookshelf by itself. Get on my level, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of dialogue in BioWare's games, for better or worse. I would say BioWare is not the best at the roleplay elements of Western RPGs, though. If you want like really good roleplay in a WRPG, my suggestion would be Fallout. Classic Fallout, not Fallout 3 or 4. Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout New Vegas. Those are all good choices. There are other games, but I'm not familiar with them. They're on my bucket list, but I've heard great things, like Planescape Torment is one. I can't recall the others off the top of my head. They're probably all on my wish list somewhere, though.
Planescape Torment is a game I've heard is very similar to Baldur's Gate in a lot of ways.
It's a game that was built on the Infinity engine, which is the engine the Baldur's Gate games were built on, but it's got a different look, feel, and approach to gameplay. I think Fallout 1 and 2 are also on the Infinity engine as well, although they have their own specific mechanics that make them a lot different than other computer RPGs of the time. Oh man. I went into this part expecting to, like, talk about the lore and stuff and explain what was being explained on the screen, but I just sort of went off on a general WRPG tangent over all these conversations.
Yeah, save that shit for like part 17 when we don't have anything else to talk about.
I'll save it for the Citadel because we're going to be there for a while. This is the only game in the series that starts off in this specific way, though, where you've got a bunch of conversations and a really slow build-up to the action, because Mass Effect 1 is a much more ponderous game than 2 or 3. Mass Effect 1 mixes up its slower, more role-play elements with its action elements a lot more...
Mining!
Well, no, there's no mining. Well, there's planet probing, but you just sort of click a planet and get something, so... no, there's no mining. The Mass Effects 2 and 3 have a much clearer division between their shooting stages, and they are very much stage-based in a sense, and they're walking around talking to people, doing slow-paced things. So in a sense, one of the shortfalls of the sequels is that because the elements, the two distinct elements, roleplay and shooting, are so separate from each other over the course of the experience, it kind of makes them both feel a little shallower by comparison. It's...
I will
say the combat's definitely better in 2 and 3, though. Like, I do appreciate how much better the combat gets. Because it was weird going back to this game after so many years when, like, you don't push a button to get into cover. You have to sort of, like, move the control stick into walls to make him lean up against it. And
yeah, it's automatic.
Grenades are the select button.
What?
Yeah, grenades are the select button on the console versions. Yeah, that is one thing that that is slightly better on the PC release, is that you can remap the goddamn grenade button to something convenient. Unfortunately, the PC release also has a really stupid keyboard control design. Spacebar does fucking everything.
Does. Yes, it does.
You mean it's not WASD?
No, it's WASD, but it's like everything else is all over the place. I had to keybind it to be more convenient.
There's a lot of stuff that's all over the place, but the main button for doing a lot of key stuff is spacebar, and that gets really awkward after a while. I mean, I know your thumb is always on it, but it's not the most comfortable position to be pushing your fingers.
It's
like
talk things, throw things, shoot things, bounce bracelet, light speed dash.
It's your run and cover button in the second and third games. Oh god, that when I'm recording the PC version of Mass Effects 2 and 3, but I modded it for console control because fuck the keyboard control. I'm not bothering to get used to it in this case.
Oh my gosh, you're not a true PC gamer. Controllers are for scrubs.
I liked earlier in that scene when the Reaper showed up on the computer monitor, and Nihilus had like this weird little facial tick where his tentacles sort of like moved a little bit. Because he's like this alien creature, and you don't know what he is, but you can tell that he's actually shocked at what he's looking at. You know,
that's how he says hello.
There are some pretty creative things about the aliens in Mass Effect. I mean, when they aren't blue space women who are meant to be there,
hilarious.
So you have. He just jumps out. I'm assuming his suit has a Mass Effect field that allows him to do sort of a halo drop, but
I just like the fact that he's like, I move faster on my own, and then he does this dinky little walk.
Unfortunately, BioWare's major shortcoming when it comes to story presentation, which it looks like they're fixing with Mass Effect Andromeda at last, is their animation. They have a very obvious set of stock animations for everything, and like the more you play BioWare games, the more you notice them.
Yeah,
everywhere.
like I remember when Dragon Age Origins came out, I was like, oh my god, these are exactly Mass Effect's motion capture. Like the exact same animations.
Except it was worse there because there was a whole lot of armor clipping going on.
No, but it's a feature. It's nostalgic.
I mean, when Mass Effect 1 was new, it was really amazing at the time. Like in 2007, when we didn't have the Witcher 3s, and we didn't have... I don't even know if Fallout 3 came out by then, but I remember Mass Effect being like, this is the next generation of gaming! Oh my god! I'm so glad I own an Xbox!
You know, no one is going to praise Fallout 3 for its stellar animation. Those animations were even stiffer than BioWare's. The thing about The Witcher, though, Witcher 3 and Witcher 2, is that they have stock animations for things, but they're subdued enough that you don't necessarily notice them, which is the way to do it, if I were to say. Of course, it helps that that you don't create your character at all in the Witcher games, so they have a more dedicated set of animations for Geralt himself. Anyway, welcome to Eden Prime.
We have space cows.
Yeah, these slow-paced sections where you're running around exploring between shootouts, don't get used to them because they are gone in 2 and 3. And I kind of miss them because segments like this where it really felt like you were on an alien world but you weren't necessarily driving a vehicle or something, these are really nice and atmospheric, and, well, you don't really get too many of them in 2 and 3 because you get a lot of man-made environments or alien-made environments, a lot of mechanically based areas, factories, cargo bays, ships.
Pretty much.
Yeah, well, they have a lot to them, but basically the game stays indoors a lot so that it has an excuse to throw crates everywhere. In Mass Effect 1, you notice a lot more rocks as cover objects. And, you know, if you actually examine them, you'll notice how stock and generic they are, but in a way, like the rocks around here look more organic than.
No, Uncle Ben, Uncle Owen, and Peru.
Yeah. Oh man.
By the way, you can shoot those creatures we just walked by, and Kaiden will actually go, "Oh damn!" when you do.
I mean, what do they ever do to you?
Well, really? Because I shot one, and I think one of them said, "Finally, some action."
That's their stock. Wait, that sounds like Jenkins. Jenkins has a stock line for the start of combat.
I don't know which one said it, but someone said it.
God damn it,
Oh,
Jenkins.
Leeroy.
It doesn't sound much like something Kaiden would say. I don't know. I don't play Mass Effect 1 often. The auto cover is bugging out on me. Fuck it. I'm just gonna sort of edge out from behind the rock and shoot.
Damn you, rock traitor!
God,
yeah.
Fucking damn it, Leeroy.
This is the only bit of combat that we're going to get in part 1. Shooting down a couple dinky little drones.
Well, I assume so, considering the part's almost over.
We got revenge for our fallen comrade.
Man.
Take that, space cow.
Jenkins, no. We didn't even get to give you that Christmas present that we had all prepped for you, the green biker suit and the matching bicycle.
They ripped through our shields. Never had a chance. Maybe we should seriously consider reconfiguring our shields.
Well, okay, the shields in Mass Effect are kinetic barriers. What they do is they stop fast-moving objects. So they're made
So you hit them with slow-moving objects?
Well, yeah, that's actually a mechanic. If you go up and melee something, you can damage them through their kinetic shields. And conversely, enemies that rely on melee will do the same to you. But
So a thrown rock can take out these galactic space warriors.
I'm pretty sure a thrown rock would move fast enough to trigger the
Fuck.
barrier. I'm not really sure.
God
It's-
forbid we run into any Ewoks.
It's difficult to say. Mass Effect 1 is the game that does the most with the kinetic barrier mechanic, because Mass Effects 2 and 3, the kinetic barriers are just sort of an extra health bar that regenerates. You know, they don't really do. They stripped a lot of the system down in Mass Effect 2 and 3 to make it more simple and easy to pick up and play. So your mileage may vary on whether or not that's a good thing, but yeah, that's the principle behind it is it stops fast-moving objects. In other words, bullets. But Geth weaponry, which a lot of the Citadel races aren't familiar with, relies on technology that doesn't play so nice with kinetic barriers sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I just explained about half a novel's worth of codex entries to you. Huh.